So I just finished the game in which I played the Dutch against the London. If you need something against the London, play the Dutch, play f5 against d4 if you know your opponent plays the London system. I've played a very thematic idea that plays for the e5 square, and I managed to get exactly the kind of position I wanted to get. Anyway, you will see the game. It was very interesting, and now I'm gonna go for a walk because yeah, I'm not going to give away too much. Thank you guys for watching the video, and let me know what you think about the game. Yeah, I need to improve this setup, I think, or understand it better. Let's go to the game. Hi everyone, Stepan here. Welcome to game 101. We won the last two games, and yeah, I hope to continue the streak. By the way, I have a new mic. As per many of your requests, so let me know if the sound is better. This is actually the first time I'm using it, so if something needs to be set up properly or better, let me know. Okay, we play the Dutch. We continue our aggressive repertoire and we continue trying to get interesting games regardless of what our opponents play. That doesn't mean I'm trying to play unsound openings. I'm choosing the Dutch and the bird, and as we're gonna see, the Sicilian and other sharper defenses to e4. It just means that I'm trying to get outside of my comfort zone. Okay, I'm already slightly worried. I don't know this that well. I don't know what the idea is. Well, I do, but I don't know the theory well. Let's continue with knight f6. This is the... I even forgot the name. The Staunton. So yeah, there are many lines against the Dutch which white can play that don't allow... No, it's not... White is just playing the London. Okay, no, never mind. I confused this with bishop g5. This is going to be fine. And I'm actually going to play a line with b6 and bishop d6, which I had faced against a Slovenian FIDE master 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago in a tournament game. I had the white pieces and I drew the game, and I knew about the idea of bishop d6. The idea is to exchange the London bishop and control the e5 square. But before we do that, since my opponent hasn't occupied the diagonal, we're gonna go b6. And also they don't have a knight on c3, so the c7 pawn is never gonna be an issue. Usually when white plays knight c3, c4 knight c3 or just knight c3, then you could have trouble after knight b5 with c7 in the London. So normally against knight c3 you go bishop d6 to guard c7 in advance. Now I can delay that, and of course g2. Well, I mean, it's playable, but it's not that great. On queen f3 I have knight c6. Okay, let's go bishop b7. And probably my next move is going to be bishop d6. You can see that this knight is trying to occupy e5 or g5, and e5 is the problematic square in the Dutch, usually. I mean, you could go d6, but then your bishop is on e7 and you're playing the classical Dutch, so playing bishop d6 is more active. Okay, so let's go bishop d6. Let's see what my opponent does against this. If they go knight e5, I could consider playing knight c6. And then if they take, I take back with the bishop. If they don't take, I can play bishop e5. And on d5, I have knight e4. I'm just trying to control e5. This game isn't wild. I just have a normal Dutch position. Okay, now, am I worried about bishop h5 check? Bishop h5 check g6. No, I'm not. Bishop h5, check g6. If knight c6, then maybe bishop f3. That could be an issue. So yeah, let's just castle. Now if bishop f3 comes, I can exchange and my rook isn't in trouble. I don't have to exchange, but I can. I could go knight e4. That also prepares g5. And if I'm going to play this in proper Dutch fashion, then knight e4 is probably the way to go. Okay, so if I go queen e8, what does that accomplish? Not much, not much. I'm reluctant to go knight c6 because of bishop f3. But I will have to start connecting my rooks, so maybe queen e7 is a good idea. Queen e7 also defends the f7 square, and okay, I'm gonna go queen e7. I want to connect my rooks, and on knight c6 I want to be able to move my rook and maybe play bishop e8. So knight c6, let's say, I don't know, c4, knight c6, bishop f3, rook e8 or rook d8. And then I have bishop a8 and my knight is free to move. Queen e7 is a strange move. I will admit that. But I just couldn't find a good alternative. One of the main reasons I wanted to play queen e7 is because I want to go king h8, rook g8 and g5. And I'm constantly hanging knight f7 check if I do that. So, and my queen hangs. So now the queen defends f7. Now I have to worry about moving my h-pawn. If I move my h-pawn, there's knight g6. My opponent should go c4. And then I also have the option to go c6, bishop c7, d6, or even c5, bishop c7, d6. And just get rid of that knight. If my opponent goes bishop f3, yeah, okay, so c5 still doesn't threaten to win anything. So I could consider king h8, I could consider knight c6. I like king h8, I'm gonna go king h8. I want to play for rook g8 and g5 while my opponent isn't doing anything. Now I'm definitely playing for knight e4 if they play bishop f3. I don't want to trade. And if knight e4, then f e4. Even though it blocks in my bishop, I open up the f file for my other rook. Also on bishop f3, if I go knight c6, That may also be good. I'm just trying to get a position where I'm the one attacking. My opponent is 2150. Haven't even looked at the rating. 1800 bullet, 2000 blitz. Joined 4 years ago. Okay. H3, now that creates a hook. H3 is not a good move. H3 is a bad move. And it creates a square for the bishop, but it allows G5, G4 to open up the position. So let's just continue with my plan. He's going to move the bishop to H2 and that's fine, but now I can open up the G file. Now you see why my queen is on E7 and not on D8, because knight F7 would have been checkmate. And as I said, now you see why I cannot move my H-pawn. When I play G5, the G6 square will be secure again, so that's going to be okay. Okay, now I was thinking knight E4 or knight C6. If I go knight E4, then takes, bishop E2. I actually want to trade off that bishop. I actually don't think I should play knight E4. Because if I do go knight E4, my bishop is going to be stuck. Now I don't have C6 because knight F7 check, queen F7, bishop D6. Picks up my bishop. So yeah, I think just knight C6, takes, and then move the knight to, or maybe play bishop E5. Yeah, I'm playing knight C6. I don't want to go knight E4, shutting in my bishop. I also don't want to take on F3 because then after queen F3 I don't have knight C6 because it hangs a pawn. I'd have to take on E5. Now my rooks are connected and I'm slightly less worried about playing G5. I'm also up 3 minutes on the clock, almost. That's good. Also, it's really early here, so there are almost no people watching the game live. And as you can see, I'm not home. I'm gonna stay here for a while, and I'm gonna be playing a lot of training games, among other videos. I wanted to ask you, if you have any requests for videos, please let me know. I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do in 2025. I have about 100 videos planned. Yeah, I don't want to trade. I don't want to trade the bishops. Yeah, I'm not trading bishops. Because now if my opponent takes on d6, I can just play cd6 with a very healthy pawn structure. And when I play g4, that bishop's going to have to move anyway, so I'll be threatening c5, unleashing my b7 bishop. And g5 is coming. I'm actually not sure what my opponent should do here. Preparing c5 makes no sense anymore, because it just hangs material, and also I mean, I have the b pawn and what? Well, that surely doesn't help. This is now just another tempo unless my opponent takes on f6. So h6, bishop f6, queen f6 is what should happen. h6, bishop h4, g5 seems like a disaster. So yeah, I'm very happy now. I think bishop g5 is just a huge waste of time. Because if this bishop ends up on g3, I can just safely take it and continue with g4. And then e3 is weak. Oh, it seems to me that bishop g5 is an extremely bad move. But maybe I'm wrong, we're gonna see. It seems like not only has my opponent created a hook by playing h3, but he also gave me a tempo to expand with g5. Yeah, now I have the bishop pair. Now my opponent, when I play g5, g4, queen h4 is going to be devastating with mating threats on h2. I believe I am very close to winning now. I have been overconfident before, and I have misevaluated my position, so, and I tend to do that a lot, so I'm not going to get excited yet, but what do you do against g5, g4? I would be terrified here as white. What do you do? Look at my bishops. Look at my dark squared bishop. Look at my queen. Look at my rook on g8. I think the best idea could be to play e4, but that just opens up the f-file. Also, I don't have to take. I could continue with e5. I could also continue with bishop f4. So e4, bishop f4, g3, g5, gf4, gf4 check, king h2 or king h1. Do I have enough there? I have queen h4. Maybe I don't have enough, but it's interesting. I mean, if I were white, I definitely would play e4. I don't see... Because it's a direct threat. I don't want to take it, and I cannot allow e5. And if I go e5, then ef5, queen f5, knight e4. Bishop e7, maybe? I'm not sure, but e4 seems good. I also have a massive time advantage now. Okay, did not play e4 yet. So I have a move to prepare whatever I want. So now we have g5, e4, g4, hg, fg, bishop g, queen f4 wins the bishop, or threatens mate. And if g5, e4, g4, e5, gf3, there is no ef6 because I take the queen on e2. Yeah, this just works. Also on e4 I can play queen d4, but I didn't see that previously, but that seems very good. Also I would play g4 on e4, but queen d4 just picks up a pawn. So if that's my safety option. I don't know. Now I'm getting overconfident, or justifiably confident. I'm gonna say that black is winning. I don't see a defensive try anymore. I believe my opponent should have played e4, although maybe I really could have taken queen d4. Wow. Okay, so if I take now, does my opponent take with the bishop? Probably. Now, when I take, there's no more e4 in any scenario, because of queen f4. So if I can get my queen to that diagonal, that's going to be mate. How do I do that? I don't want to play f4 because of e4. If I take, my opponent takes with the bishop and gets closer to playing, to moving the f-pawn. So what do I do? Could I go c5? c5? e4, queen d4, c5, gf, queen f. Maybe c5 is too slow. I don't want that bishop to move. That's the thing. c5, bishop b7. cd. My opponent must take back. Oh, actually not, because the bishop is not on f3 anymore, so there is f4. I can also go h5. So h5, gh5, g4 seems incredibly winning. h5, gh5, g4 takes, bishop takes, queen h4 threatens mate and the bishop. h5, if my opponent does nothing, then I take. Ooh, h5 is very strong. If h5, e4, queen d4, e5, bishop c5. Oh, h5 seems crushing. Because I need to start opening up lines, and this way I'm just threatening to take, and my opponent cannot play king h2 and rook h1 and king g2. That's just terribly slow. And also, if I play hg, that's the point. I have queen h6. Okay, is it time for rook f8 now? So rook f8, if gf5, then g4. Takes, bishop takes. Okay, I'm not too happy about that, but I do have c5. Huh. Okay, rook f8, rook af8, first of all. And obviously I don't want to take on g4 if my opponent's rook is on h1, so I can delay that. And I don't think my opponent wants to take on f5 or on h5. That seems incredibly risky. Yeah, now I'm just threatening to take on g4 and well, I'm actually sacking the exchange if I take the bishop. e4, still queen d4. I could consider e5, threatening e4, winning the bishop. So if e5, e4, ed4, e5 has been prevented and I'm simply up a pawn. Although c5 defending that pawn would lose the bishop for now. How do I get my queen to the dark squares? Oh, I know how. e5, e4, ed, and then fg followed by queen f4. Okay, so my opponent still wants to do something over there. So if I go e5, threatening e4, winning the bishop, what does my opponent do? e5, e4, saves the bishop. e5, d5, queen e5, ties down the rook, and threatens b2. I like e5. I want to threaten the bishop. My opponent could continue with bishop e4 if now gf5, queen f5, bishop e4. But on gf5 I also have ed, and on ed rook e8. And by the way, gh or gf. Wow, okay, takes. Okay, so queen takes, bishop e4, and also ed. So let's go ed first. ed, e4. ed there is e4, but then I have queen e5. ed e4, queen e5, bishop h5. I like ed because in many ways I'm preventing d5 after c5. ed, if bishop h5, then I could just play queen f5. I like ed, I'm playing ed. This now finally gives me access to e5 for my queen. Opens up my bishop. And my king is safe. I mean, on h4 I can play g4. I just want my opponent's h3 pawn to stay on the h-file, and that way my king is safe. I never want to go g4 now, because the rook's on the h-file. Also, I don't care if my opponent takes on h5. Also, h4 fails to gh4 check. Okay, I was thinking queen e5, but is there something better? I mean, there's no need for queen e5, if I'm going to be honest. So is it time for c5? Now that the bishop is blocked? I think so. Let's go c5. And if bishop h5, what do we do there? I could just go h4 now and make sure that my h-pawn stays on the board. Because I'm not sure I'm playing g4 anyway. Now I have all the dark squares and I can defend my d-pawn. Yeah, there's no need to sack my pawn. I can go h4 now. Excellent. Excellent. This pawn can be defended with c5. I'm expecting bishop g4, knight f3 as a setup, but that's going to be risky due to c5 and this pin. And when my queen comes to e5, the rook will be tied down, and the f-pawn will be tied down because of queen g3. And also my opponent is under a minute. And also I have a protected passed pawn, and my opponent's pawn structure is awful, and the f-pawn could be hanging if the bishop moves away. Yeah, this is nothing because I have bishop f4 worst case. Should I go rook e8? Oh, there's actually a problem with c5 because on c5, e5, bishop f3, knight f3 defends everything. So yeah, I go rook e8 first. Okay, now c5, certainly. And if e5 takes, and I win the pawn on e5. Okay, now there's no check. So I have to worry about e5. So I think bishop e5 to set up a blockade is a good idea. I don't want that pawn to move now, so let's blockade it. g5 is defended. The reason I didn't want to allow e5 is because my bishop hangs. It's no longer check. e5 would have attacked my queen and the bishop on b7. This seems helpful actually, but it's going to disconnect my rook from defending, so I'm gonna go rook f8 and sack the exchange, because I have bishop g3 coming. Oh wow, yeah, bishop g6 I just take. And the bishop's hanging, and f2 is hanging. Okay, now I can just save my bishop. If bishop g6, I still take. e5 I take. I don't know what that does. Okay, wants to double up the rooks, but isn't the bishop hanging? So queen h6, bishop g6. rook takes, pawn takes, queen takes, rook g1, queen f6. How do you defend your knight? You don't defend your knight. So queen h6, bishop g6, rook g6, f g6, queen g6. Oh, there's rook g5. Huh. Okay, let's not be hasty. So do I just go bishop f4 first? Probably. But bishop f4 hangs a pawn to knight h5. Okay, so let's go bishop e7. I'm going to defend. e5 is still not happening because I have queen f5. And now I do have queen h6 because g5 is not hanging. So queen h6, bishop g6, rook g6, f g6, queen g6, rook g5. Still doesn't work. Bishop g5. Okay, it does work. It does work. Maybe it does work. Okay, so let's calculate. Rook g6, f g6, queen g6. If knight g5, then I just... Oh, then I just take and go queen e4? Rook g6, f g6, queen g6, knight g5. Rook g5 loses to queen f6. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it does, to bishop g5. Oh, there's also rook h4. Okay, I don't see an alternative to this, so I'm gonna do it. The only question is, do I take on g6 straight away? Queen g6, I'm worried about knight g5. I have to do it. I don't see an alternative. Okay, now rook h4 is hanging. I have to watch out for that. I have to defend rook h4. So queen h6 is the only sensible move I see. Yeah, I don't think I can hang the h pawn with check. What? Wow. Congratulations. That's a really nice find with 20 seconds on the clock. Yeah, good job. I didn't see that. Nice find. Very nice. Okay, let's expand this thing. And I'm hoping you guys can see. Okay, let's see how we did. So b6 equal, bishop d6 is fine. I know it's fine. Wow. Okay, h5 is the best move. That's good. Black is just slightly better. I had expected black to be completely winning. I should have gone bishop f4. Oh, oh. h4 losing my advantage. I should have gone c5 straight away, giving away the pawn. And what happens on takes? So c5 takes. I didn't see the pin. I just didn't see the pin. Okay, instead I went h4, c5. Man, how did I lose this? Yeah, I should have gone bishop f4. That makes way more sense. Why did I play bishop d6? Wait, doesn't bishop f4 lose a pawn? Oh, queen e5 threatening bishop e4 and the knight. Yeah. Completely losing. Knight f7 is really nice. I didn't even consider this. This is just checkmate. I didn't see it. Congratulations to my opponent. He played a very tough position very well. So my opponent has had one inaccuracy in this position. That's astonishing. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just congratulating him. This is really, really nice play. Yeah, unfortunately, we lost this one. I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.